Hey guys, it's Heather from Here She Grows, and today I'm digging up my hardy banana, or Musa basjoo. So Musa basjoo is hardy to -10 below Fahrenheit, and I didn't want to risk it here. I could leave it here and wrap it really tight. I've done a lot of research on how best to overwinter this. This site is extremely exposed. So this is a northwest location. It's my front side yard garden. So my house is back here, my neighbor's house is over here, and this just gets pummeled from the northwest wind. So this is a very exposed spot. So I think if this was elsewhere in the garden where there's a warmer microclimate, a little bit more protection, I might try to overwinter it in the ground, just cover it with a lot of burlap, stuff it with leaves, and keep my fingers crossed that it would make it through the winter. But given where it's at in my garden, I'm going to dig this up and store it much in the same way that I store my Chicago hardy fig and my brugmansia in the basement in a cold, dark environment. So I'm going to dig this up, and I've been waiting for this to happen. It looks pretty terrible, but we got a freeze last night actually. It was very cold. So that was my signal to go ahead and cut this guy back. So I'm going to chop him back, dig him up, put him in a plastic bag, and I won't seal it, of course, but I'm just going to drop him in that bag and put it in the basement in a cold spot and check on it like I do the other things that I store down there, and give it a little moisture if it needs it, not let it completely desiccate. I don't want the roots to dry out totally. I just want to keep it slightly damp, and hope that I can bring it back out next year. I love this plant. So this year I found this hardy banana at Lowe's, and I wasn't looking for it. I found it at Lowe's in June, and it was maybe about 18 inches tall. So this guy reached to be maybe about almost 8 feet, not quite 8, and I absolutely love it. So, and I did some reading some years ago. I love Christopher Lloyd's garden. So, and his garden, Great Dixter, is is on my bucket list. So one of the someday places to visit in England that I really love to see. But Christopher Lloyd did many books. So he wrote a book called Exotic Planting, and I read that book, and I was just so sold on incorporating tropicals into the garden. So this really fit that aesthetic, and I always like to work in some really bold paddle-shaped leaves, whether it's colocasia, alocasia, hardy banana, cannas. I have those woven into every border. And then I do dig some of those up because there are a few, like my Pretoria or Bengal tiger canna, that I absolutely love. I dig those up. I dig up some of my colocasia and store them, overwinter them in the basement. So this guy is going to be the newest addition to the basement gang. So I'm going to cut him back and dig him up, put him in the plastic bag and overwinter him, and hopefully next year bring him back to this same spot. Once the soil has warmed up, water them well, feed them well. They're heavy feeders, heavy drinkers, like some people I know, and hopefully these guys can top out at 14 feet. So if this reaches 14 feet, I'll be tickled. But right next to it, I also planted this past year a limelight prime hydrangea. So that's over to the side. So this is the view that I have. I'm really excited to be able to see this plant towering over everything from my dining room window. So let's get to it. So I'm not gonna lie, this thing's a bit of a beast. So I'm gonna take some of the soil off of it and root prune it too, because I don't think I can lift this by myself, but it's quite healthy. And what's interesting about hardy banana is this was just a single trunk, I guess you would say, when I bought this, and there's 3 or 4 trunks coming off of it now, babies that are coming off of it. So it suckers really nice, and I really like that effect. So I'm going to take some of the soil off of it and root prune it, and then transfer it to a bag if I can lift it. Okay. Okay, here goes nothing. Let me bring the cart over here. All right, so that's that. I'm going to take this into the garage and transfer it to the bag. I'm going to clean it up a little bit, and that should be about it. So I found a large nursery pot in my garage, and I'm going to use that to store it instead of just using the bag, because I thought they were a little thicker than they were, but they're not. So I'm just going to line the container with this just to contain the soil a little bit. I'm not going to seal it up because I still want it to be able to breathe. And I did shave some of the soil off this guy. I mean, it's pretty massive, so and heavy. But I'm going to just dump him in here. If he fits, oops, hopefully he fits. I think he will. Ah, perfect fit. Okay. And that's how he's going to spend the winter. I'm going to move him into the basement with the rest of these guys. So I've got my fig over here, and then my angel's trumpet behind me, and a few other things that I need to clean up, and then the rest of these guys are going to go into the basement for the winter. But I will link to that book I referenced earlier by Christopher Lloyd. I think it's Exotic Planting, but the link will be below if you're interested in reading up more on that. And check out Great Dixter. Google that. You'll see what I'm talking about. And he's got a lot of banana plants and all kinds of exotics woven into their garden. I mean, the climate is much milder there in England than it is here, but there are definitely ways you can overwinter things if you're determined to get that tropical looking, that aesthetic in your garden, which is what I'm trying to do. Not that I want a ton of it, because I don't want to be storing a whole bunch of tropicals in the basement. I don't have a whole lot of space, but there are a few things that I'm willing to go the extra effort for to overwinter them and bring them inside. I love them that much. So thanks for watching, guys. And if you're interested, and if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. That would be wonderful. And as always, thanks for watching, and take care.